And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can hear the cage in the background. Clearwater, Florida. AJ, are you tempted to go in there and take some hacks?
Well, we got J-Roll and Howard. Charlie Daniels.
Wait, AJ, your mic.
You didn't put your mic on.
You got to put your mic on.
Hey,
AJ is hustling right now.
He's been hustling. It's cold.
Sorry, I've been up and down. Sorry. I've been up and down chasing people. It's first of all, it's 50 degrees. I thank God when I left at 5 in the morning, I checked the weather and I happened to bring my Foul Territory, get a foulterritoryshop.com hoodie. And I put pants on because there would have been a lot of cold legs if I did not put pants on.
I'm glad you have pants on.
But yeah, so I was just in the cage. J-Roll, Ryan Howard, Charlie Manuel. We're in there. We were talking hitting. Kevin Long, who will not come on the show, by the way, and I've asked him a million times. I love you, K. Long. We're in there. We're all talking hitting. So we're right by the cage like we were last year. They've changed some things here, Kratzy, since you were here. They got this brand new food tent, which smells delicious, so I would love to go in there. But listen, Phillies are strong. Phillies have been strong. They had the PA meeting. Tony Clark was here. Bruce Meyer was here this morning. So it's been a good morning so far to catch up with some guys.
Good, I love that. Yeah, we'll have some combos. We will. We will have some combos. Big day for you too, Kratz. Mr. Philly. This is your spot.
I'm at home. I'm in the cold north. It's probably the same degrees as it is in Florida right now. So,
what do you call them? You know how you called the Mets a third place team? What do you call the Phillies?
I don't know. I mean, am I supposed to say what spot they're gonna be? I mean,
are they a first place team in the division or a second place team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a toss up between the two of them. I really think it's who stays healthier throughout the season. I do.
What?
I think it's the Phillies, man. I'm surprised.
Me too.
This is a regular season first place team in my mind based on how they're built.
I'm a Braves fan. But
here's my pick.
I grew up a Braves fan.
Here's my pick. I could care less, and I'll pick whoever ends up. I'll pick my AL East rankings or my NL East rankings. But I think the Phillies get it done. I think they push it across the line this year and they win the World Series.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, they're all in. Listen, this is it, right? I mean, you got some free agents at the end. You got Schwarber. You got JT's a free agent. There's some free agents. They lost a couple guys this year. Hoffman, for example, Estevez left at the end of their team last year. So they're all in. The Phillies want to win. John Middleton wants to win. The Phillies want to win with this group, and they're going to go for it.
Oh, well, perfect segue for me because there's one team that does not care about winning. Not the players. The owner. Let's hit a little charge the mound action. This one's got spice.
Charging the mound.
Justin Turner had a nice finish to last season, which ended up earning him a 1-year, $6 million contract with the Chicago Cubs. He wanted to stay in the Pacific Northwest. He loved the vibes there. Obviously, he loved watching that pitching staff. He connected with the fans, and he played well. He hit well there, AJ. He unloaded on really ownership there to Bob Nightingale. So there's an article out now, and there are so many good quotes. Wait. So I'm not the only one that goes after Mariners ownership? Okay, good. Just checking. Just making sure that there are other humans that think this situation is absurd and the most frustrating in baseball right now. So you're seeing some on the screen. I'll read a few for you, and then we'll get thoughts from our players. Quote, the fact that they missed the playoffs by one game and didn't go out and add an impact bat or two when you have the best pitching staff in baseball just seems absurd to me. Honestly, as much as I wanted to be back there, if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would be saying the same thing. What the hell are we doing? Are you trying? There's not going to be a better time to go for it, so I don't know what they're doing. I'm very confused. It's a head scratcher for me, and I'm just taking more and more quotes here. These were lines that are mixed throughout the article. JT said, I told them several times this offseason, you have a unicorn of a pitching staff. This might be the best 5 starting pitchers in the history of the game. That can be debated, but still, this is 149 of 162 starts that last year from 5 guys. AJ, with a 3.40 ERA. JT said, I thought Pete Alonso would be a slam dunk. How could you not go after him? He goes, are you kidding me? And then I'll finish with this. He said he thinks that Jerry DePoto catches a bad rap for a lot of the trades and how crazy some of the trades have been. But he said, being a part of it, I kind of understand. He doesn't have any money to spend, so he's got to create money. Like, okay, is it really Jerry's fault? And he alluded to the Kendall Graveman trade a few years back, and he's going, I'm thinking, what in the world is this trade? But he said you probably need to trade guys during that season just to be able to spend money in the next off season, which is nuts.
You know what the best part of this article was? Besides all the quotes, but this quote stands out to me more than anything. As much as I wanted to be back there, and if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would be saying the same thing. What the hell are we doing? Are you trying? That's a veteran guy knowing where he's at in his career and understanding he wanted to be back there. And yes, could he help that team win, he thinks? Absolutely. But what does he think? They need more. They need more offense. They need more power. They need more speed. They need more just everything on the offensive side of the ball. And so for him to be that self-conscious and self-aware to say with that and then to back it up with these other quotes, incredible interview. And by the way, my hat is on backwards, but I'm going to tip my hat to you, Justin Turner, for saying what Scott Braun has been saying for almost 2 years now. Way to go, JT. Way to go. Way to just say what you feel and say it with your chest, as Kratz says. Awesome interview and great job by Bob and by Justin Turner.
I mean, I feel like JT must be watching the show because everything he said is exactly what we've been saying on this show. I also think that Mariners pitching staff has an easy slam dunk t-shirt. Every pitcher gets a t-shirt with a Mariners symbol and a unicorn on it. Like, I feel like when a guy says this, I want to hit on what AJ said about the fact that he's like, what are we doing? If I'm the only person, doesn't mean Justin Turner doesn't think he's a good player. It just means that they have an opportunity that they have squandered, and another offseason has gone by where they squandered it again.
I want to just clear this part up too. Most players apparently were asked about it. They shrugged it off. JP Crawford said, that's not our job. I know the fans are mad at certain people, but they're taking it out on all of the players. I don't really get that. Nobody is taking it out on the players. I just want to make that clear. All right, we're going to be right back with Alec Bohm, player on the Phillies, joining us next. All right, kind of perfect. We're going to have Alec Bohm on. I mean, I could come up with a million different players that would have been a great fit in a situation like this. But continuing on Seattle, I mean, JT's right. Pete Alonso, oh my gosh. Add him to that mix when they needed a first baseman. Of course, that would have been awesome. They're not spending anywhere close to that. That's why the last couple off seasons, when fans are sending us ideas for who the Mariners can acquire, 95% of them, I'm like, they're not spending like that. Their ownership has made it clear. It's insane, right? We're talking about two different cases here. I mean, we're talking in Phillies camp today where they go all out. John Middleton is one of really the dream owners in our game. And then John Stanton, who's the owner of the Mariners, the majority owner or whatever, he's the control guy. I mean, he just doesn't care. And props to JT because he's in that point in his career. But Kratz, just echo what I said, please, if you agree. Nobody's going after Mariners players. Sure, there might be some frustration and last year that they're not hitting as well, but Mariners fans are pissed at one place, right? And that's ownership / some front office. They are not mad at the players. I mean, that's a superstar cast of starters. He gave a ton of credit to Cal Raleigh too and how damn good he is in the game as well.
I think some ownership would probably say, well, one player doesn't win you a championship. You're right. One player doesn't. But the 5 dudes you have in your starting rotation and the bullpen that you just keep churning over, and it's the same dudes that are just legit lights out, they do win you a championship. And you already have studs up the middle, Cal Raleigh, JP Crawford, and Julio Rodriguez, all up the middle. You did a good job. Just supplement it. Nobody's mad at the players. Yes, you want them to do better, but that's just when you look at the scoreboard and you see them hitting 210. You're mad at ownership. The ownership is where the anger is at, and it should be. And to me, I think it's a travesty that 2 years ago they got an all-star game and they don't spend. Like, it should be some type of mandate. Like, hey, you want an all-star game? You got to show us you're trying to put a competitive team on the field, not just, oh, well, your name came up on the wheel of haven't had an all-star game for a while, so that's what we'll give it to you. Nah, I think there should be just more things tied to competition, competitiveness.
Yeah. Middle of the pack payroll, about 150-ish mil. Nobody's asking you to have 200 plus every year, but these are the years that you should have done it. You would have made more money if you won a World Series.
Oh, forever.
So frustrating. All right, here we go. We're back on FT with Alec Bohm. Alec, great to have you on, man. Always appreciate the time. Does camp feel like you're just going back to summer camp almost? Because a lot of teams go through a ton of turnover, but the Phillies have the same dudes showing up the last few years. So how's that gone?
Yeah, all the same guys. I mean, it's pretty rare, I think, when you see the same group continue to come back each year and see the same guys in the clubhouse and a couple new additions here and there, but definitely don't take that for granted.
But before
Who's
we
the
dig
guy-
into the Phillies, go ahead.
Oh,
Kratz.
no. I was just going to say, first of all, thanks for coming on, Bomer. It only took us like a year and a half and like who dis from you and then a hug at the All-Star game. But anyway, that's all. That's all behind us now. Who's the guy that you walk into the clubhouse the first day of spring training and you're like, oh, man, it's so good to see you.
Kyle Schwarber,
Yeah?
pretty easy
Why?
answer.
Why?
I feel like everybody feels that way about Kyle. If you walked in the clubhouse, you'd feel like it's good to see him. I don't know. It's just he just brings that type of joy to the clubhouse.
I just saw him in the cage.
Yeah,
And I'd never played with him, and I was like, "It's great to see you."
you're right.
I mean, he just puts a smile on your face. I don't know
Everybody
why.
loves him.
I don't
Everybody
know.
loves him.
That's a
But
great energy. It's like Kratz. When people used to see me, they'd frown and turn around and walk the other way.
Ed,
Schwarber. Everyone sees
yeah.
Schwarber. They're like, "Hey, what's up?"
he's a guy's guy.
Yeah, I agreed. All right, so we got to ask this in the rumors this offseason. Obviously, you heard them,
Yeah,
and you're here. You're back. You're back.
Here I am.
You're back here. You're back with your boys, the Philly boys. Do you block it out?
yeah. So I mean,
It's probably harder on your family, right?
obviously, you hear everything. Like, I got people at the gym coming up to me like, "Hey, what's going on? Where are you going? What's up?" And I'm like, I sit here with, like, I don't have any of the apps on my phone, so like that's kind of how I don't pay attention to it. Like, I'm just not on the internet. So like
Smart.
I showed up this spring and I saw Paul Goldschmidt playing for the Yankees on TV, and I like, wait.
Oh, so you're that far disconnected.
Yeah, I was under a rock. For
You
a
don't pay
little
attention to Phillies news or any
Not
or any
much.
team.
bit. Not much at all.
You live
Like,
where in the office?
Somebody texted me, "Hey, we got Luzardo." Like, nice.
Wait, where do you live in the off season?
Texas, Houston,
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because you went to school at
Wichita.
State.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Maybe in Kansas they don't have the internet.
We don't have internet in Kansas.
Yeah, I was like, it hasn't caught up yet. I don't know. But gosh, I mean, you had a good year last year.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll be honest. I was there when you guys played the Mets, right? And I heard people say things about you and like, and I don't know what's true and what's not true, right? But to me, when I've seen you, you've always been a good guy. You play hard. You care, right? You obviously care. You hit. I mean, you're almost you drive in runs. You hit doubles. You hit homers. To me, that's what would be most frustrating if I'm you. I'm thinking, man, I had a good year. I've gotten better defensively. I get big hits for these guys. I can drive in the runs.
Mhm.
Why would they want to trade me? Why me? Like you want to stay here. So I would have been like, that
Yeah.
would see. But it's good. You don't have a phone, so you were like, nah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I just act like I don't hear it. I don't know. It's
I
just
don't- that's
part
what
of the
drove me
business.
crazy. Is
It's
like I had a good
business,
year.
right? Yeah, and that's right. Once you start hearing all this stuff, it's just like, all right, forget about that and build on the good year. Go get better, keep getting better, and just keep doing it.
But Topper had your back, right? That has to make you feel good. Topper
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
like,
when he-
yeah, I want him here. He's here. He's our guy.
yeah. When he reached out, I was more like, all right, cool. Like, now let's get ready for next year.
Is RBI a stat? Because so many people are like, RBIs don't mean anything. And when we played together in Team USA, I remember watching your first BP, and I was like, dude, this guy might be able, because you elevate the ball to the opposite field so well. I'm like, this dude might be able to, if he stays on some breaking balls, he might be able to drive in a ton of runs. And somebody turned to me and goes, RBIs don't mean anything. And you've gone back-to-back years of almost 100 RBIs, which, by the way, you're really, like, you're just short. And I'm pretty sure you didn't know that, but you're just short. I mean, just get 100 one time, please.
I know. Well, like, why would you want to score more runs than the other team? That's not how you win, right? So
last time I checked,
Exactly.
if you drive in more than the other team does, you usually win the games, right? So to me, that's one of the dumbest things of all. Like,
that's what it's all about.
Give me dudes that can drive in runs, because I'll
go
beat
play
your
some
team.
defense, but we got to score.
Speaking of defense, you were out here. He was out here with Boa grinding on the half field they have over here. You do that every day.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I care about defense too.
No. Listen, we saw it. Yeah. I mean, he was over there
Defense
for
is
what?
really
You
important.
were over there for what, an hour?
Yeah, probably less, but yeah. Just every day we kind of
Are you sick of Boa yet?
never. We just kind of every spring we kind of get back to the basics of it and just rebuild it and just keep drilling things so that game comes, somebody whacks one at you, you just react.
You're sick of Boa. Stop. You want Bobby back. You want Bobby to just give you the drills, and Boa to be like, just yell at me. Just have Boa yell, because he just loves to yell. Oh, that's a good job.
Bobby's sitting over there catching, and Boa's just whacking fungo after fungo, not taking a breath.
And he's like 100 years old.
3 straight hours. Oh, he'll hit fungos until the player drops, and he'll be still standing.
Who hits the best fungo though?
They're all pretty good. It amazes me every spring where they go around and like hit balls of the bags for tags and everything, and these guys are hitting it right on the bag every time. It doesn't make sense to me, but I think Bobby still probably got the best fungo for me, but that's probably
Does he hit
biased.
a little bit easier? Does he hit a little bit easier?
No, he tries.
I can see Boa full rage
fungos
fungos at you.
He'll get going. He'll get going. But Bobby's trying to like make you miss the ball.
Really?
He's trying to make it hard, yeah. But it's good for you.
Is that the best way you think to improve? Because your defense is 1,000,000% better than it was when you first came up.
I mean, it was a lot of ground balls, but yeah, just doing hard stuff.
Do you try to make it game like? So do you say to Bobby and Bo, like, let's do this, and it's more game like than just because anybody can kind of stand there and if they hit it right at you, you're a big league player.
Like the short side fungo where you're getting like the top spin ball out of the baseline instead of like someone standing straight across from you just hitting you a nice ground ball that's rolling at you. Looks good, cool, like we're loose. But the top spin where I got to make a decision, go find a hop, catch the hop, do that.
You mean the old one where the coach hits you the perfect 2-hop backspin one right in your glove? You're actually trying to make yourself work. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Anything offensively this year you want to work on?
Just keep building. I think the more and more you can stay in the strike zone, that's a big thing now, especially with what we're testing out here with this ABS thing. I know I'm trying not to pay too much attention to it now because I know that's not the strike zone we're going to have during the season, but it feels
what'd you
smaller.
Measure at? I want to know what you measured at.
We have a little pole with the rings for like top and bottom of your zone, and mine's the highest.
Is it?
Yeah.
So height, you were what, 6?
It wasn't the exact height. It's just like the top of your zone, what they measured. I forget what the inches
down
are.
A little bit?
They wouldn't let me.
So
they measured you like 3 times.
Is there somebody standing there like with a board?
There was like 3 people. There was no manipulating it.
That's awesome.
I gave it my best.
We interviewed JT. We're going to run in a little bit later, and he said you guys ran into a rocket in the playoffs last year, the Mets. You just look at it like because you guys were so good during the regular season.
Yeah.
And then they got hot for 3 games.
It's baseball. Like that's kind of like. You some other sports like it's like the whole like March Madness thing. Like team gets hot, they can just go. And the Mets were hot. They're playing their best ball. Ball was bouncing their way. We just couldn't get it going. And that's just the reality of it. And that's baseball. And that's why the game's pure because like anybody can win at any given day. And it's not so much what you see on paper.
What do you guys need to do, though? What do you guys need to do to win it this year?
Score more runs than the other team.
Yeah!
Oh, man. I mean, obviously stay healthy. I think keep doing what we've been doing, right? Because it works. We get to the playoffs. I think that's the main thing. Everybody comes in the spring. Everybody has a meeting. Hey, our goal is to win the World Series, but you can't get there if you don't get to the playoffs. So first things first, our job is to get to the playoffs, and whether that's through winning the division or being a wild card team, whatever that is. But we just got to get there, and then we know over the last 3 years, anything can happen once you get there. We just got to be there.
I'm sure you've probably been asked this before, but first I'm going to ask you 2 questions. First of all, you're not on your phone. What do you do? If you're not on your phone, what the heck do you do? Because everyone's on their phone.
I know. Not a lot, honestly. I pretty much, it was off season was wake up, gym, little PT, little treatment, home, hang out, video games.
Oh, okay. So there it is, the game.
There's some type of technology in my life, but not
game?
so much social media.
Which game?
I'll play some Call of Duty. I'll play some NBA. Whatever sport's kind of in season, I'll play a little bit of,
Okay. All right. And then I got to ask this. Best Bryce story you can tell on the air.
Best Bryce story? I mean, I think one of the wilder things I've seen on a baseball field was the Angel Hernandez ejection on the check swing, and I'm on deck for this. So Bryce is, walking off the field after he lets Angel know he missed one, and he's he launches his helmet over the net, over my head, over the dugout, over the net, into the stands. The kid caught it.
Did he sign it?
I think he ended up getting it back and signing it for him and everything.
Awesome.
And
see, that's great.
But
that's great. I love it.
It was the kid's best day of the kid's life, but I think Bryce got in a little trouble for it. But
right, hopefully Bryce wasn't like this. Hey, I need that, guys. Sorry, kid. I just made your life. I need it back.
I got to use that. No.
Yeah. Well, not
got in trouble for it. Did he get fined?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Lopez threw his glove in the stands and got DFA'd the next day. That didn't happen to Bryce.
No,
he got fired
on the team the next. He's not getting fired for that. No.
Do you have any Bryce signed memorabilia? Like, do you wish you would have Matumbo'd like that helmet before it went out there and be like, hey Bryce, you can sign this for me and not to that kid?
I got the Harpers on right now.
Oh
no, but he's not signing those, is he?
10. There's got to be a signature on here somewhere. It's not real, but
what if you asked him to sign those and then wore them in the game?
I'd probably get beat.
Yeah.
That would be tremendous. You'd have definitely more power.
Alec, I got one more for you. Phillies hit a homer, do something big. Do you guys have anything planned in the dugout?
No, that stuff kind of just makes itself up on the way. It's kind of that whole organic kind of messing around that teams do, and yeah, we don't really plan that stuff. I think some skid will pop up throughout the year, and we'll roll with it, and that'll probably be what happens. Whatever gets us hot.
Who's the best ping pong player? You guys have a table in the clubhouse. Who's the best? And what's the ranking system? Top 3.
I think the Hurricane wiped out the ping pong table, but so we don't have one right now. Stott's typically the winner, from what I've remember from last year.
Every time I've ever
he's
been
always beaten Kyle.
Every time every time I go into the Philly clubhouse, it's Schwarber on the ping pong. It's Schwarber. Bryce is usually either in his locker or on the couch with a hoodie on, and then Schwarber is just standing there. Whoever will walk by. Like, I think one time Schwarber tried to get me to play again. He's like, someone just
Kyle loves to compete.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not very good.
That guy's here to compete.
But I always see him standing there just hitting ping pong. But whoever will walk by, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say him, but to hear it was Stott is surprising.
No, Stott's always beaten Kyle. Yeah.
Is it big money? Is that supplementing Stott's minimum salary that he was making?
I was going to say the numbers are public for what the guys on our team are making. So yeah, they're playing. They care about this game a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Alec, thanks for stopping by. It's always
sure.
great to make someone's day, and look at that smile on Kratz's face. So you made his day. Appreciate you, man.
Be here for you, Kratzy.
I appreciate you, kid.
Thank you.
Yes,
FT, we'll be right back. All right, here we are. We're back. Come on, let me see that smile.
I mean, he makes me smile. You talk about people that make you smile, especially when you play with a kid who was just coming up. He hadn't been in the big leagues yet when we played on Team USA in the end of 19. We went to Guadalajara, Mexico. We qualified to move on to Japan. Went to Japan. We fell short on a walk-off against Mexico. And, it was Olympic qualifiers, so it's like it's legit. Like, it's legit baseball that is all about winning, and I could tell this dude was about winning. And soon enough, he was in the show, and you see what he's done now. He had a little blip in the radar there when he first got called up, and he's essentially a 100 RBI guy. I guess he's a 97 RBI guy since he's had back-to-back seasons of 97 RBIs.
117 OPS plus, 17% above league average. I mean, that's certainly a first division third baseman for the Phillies. I thought that part of the trade conversations had to do with the Phillies looking at their roster and saying, how do we do something different? Because we didn't win a World Series with this exact group. They did end up doing a few things. As Alec mentioned, Jesus Luzardo could be a nice addition to that starting rotation. Don't pay attention to the back-to-back-to-back home runs yesterday at spring training. Maybe he was just working on something. Don't worry about it. But anyway, I do have some good news to share, and I'd love some questions from the chat. YouTube fam, what's up? Jimmy Rollins joining us next on FT. An old Kratz buddy. This is your day.
Swag to all swag. Let's see. He might be on now, but I want to see what he calls me when he comes on here, because he's one of the unique ones that calls me a different name than what other people.
Ooh, okay. So
Anyway,
you know what?
anyway.
I'm going to put the heat on you, Kratz. You know what to do. You've hosted before when, our Wi-Fi goes out in Orlando because, somebody's installing a heliport on the top of their roof.
Helipad.
So a helipad. Yeah, that would make more sense. So anyway, you bring in J-Roll and see if he's got a new nickname for you or an old nickname for you.
It's not a nickname. It's not a nickname. It's just, anyway, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Be there in a sec.
We got Jimmy Rollins, J-Roll, the J-Roll, soon to be Hall of Fame shortstop. Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy, I teased it a little bit in our break. What do you call me? And you might not even remember it anymore. Like, if you were to see me, hey, how are you doing?
That's one hell of a question.
I've given so many nicknames. Scratchy, honestly, I don't remember, but what it was, I'm sure it was probably pretty good. But please remind me. Yeah, I'm getting old, bro. I'm getting old. I'm out of touch.
No. I set you up for that one because it wasn't a nickname. You were one of the few people when I played that called me Erik all the time. It was super. AJ, have you heard anybody that comes on the show call me Erik?
Me? Maybe. I don't even call you Erik.
And so that's why I said it.
Yeah.
That's why I said it. Because AJ is the second one that calls me Erik. And I think it's the Fringe Hall of Fame. It's the dudes who are like,
he's going to be a real Hall of Famer.
I really don't want to call this guy by the name that everyone else calls him. I'm just going to call him Erik. So it was so unique that you're both sitting next to each other and you both call me Erik, and very few people. My dad doesn't even call me Erik.
You just look like an Erik to me. One of my best friends growing up, his name was Eric Hill. And so that was like the second time I got to call somebody by their government name. So, Erik, good to see you, brother.
Government name.
Erik, you know why we do this? Because we played in Japan back in, 2002?
2002.
Man,
Bro.
J-Roll and I go way back. And then,
with Bonds?
Then I come to Clear.
Yeah. Bonds, Ichiro,
Oh,
that whole thing. We can't talk about anything that happened during that time, but we had one hell of a time. I guarantee you that
we
much.
had one hell of a team too.
Lots of
Man,
sushi and
yeah.
sake.
Yes,
Yes.
lots of that. By the way, and then also, I come to Clearwater, as Erik calls it, in Clearwater, right? And it's 50 degrees here, 55.
Freezing.
So we're freezing.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of when we did the playoffs together. J-Roll and I worked for Fox, and I know
Oh,
he's
my
moved on
goodness.
up. We were in Boston, and it
Oof.
was like 10 degrees, the 2013 World Series. And we're sitting out there in right field.
Freezing.
And I never forget, they didn't have enough heaters, blankets. We had gloves on.
It
J-Roll had a
didn't
fancy
matter.
Louis Vuitton beanie on.
I still got that one, bro.
Do you?
Yeah, I still
See?
got it.
Right? And now look at him. He's a big media star on TBS. So, I mean, you never know.
Big. Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Here we are in foul territory. This man's still working. You at Fox Sports, right?
Yeah.
So I
He's
mean,
everywhere.
we've both grown in different ways. That's all it is. You know, I just get to work every Tuesday. That's the only difference, bro.
I work Saturdays.
I mean,
See?
your weekends are done.
It's just funny how I look back over your career, and then you meet guys like Jimmy, and we always, kept in touch after we went to Japan. Then we go to get to work the playoffs.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, man, he's awesome on TV. I know him. I played with him. Oh, man, I was there when Jimmy first did TV.
Man, first started for
you
real.
were nervous, too.
Bro, it was, because you're playing.
Yeah.
And so you want to be truthful, but you want to be fair, but you can't be too opinionated. As we always say, you never know when you're going to be in a clubhouse with that guy. So now, but now that it's like you. Now that you never had a problem being opinionated. Let's just be honest about that. I mean, you never had a problem with that. But now that you're done, it's like you can look at it differently and say, I can be truthful to what I know and to what I speak. And it has nothing that's less to do with being in a clubhouse with someone. It's being honest with the fans that are watching the game. Because baseball fans, I think, are the most honest because almost everyone has played baseball at some point in their life, whether it's recreationally, little league, and got to a point where it's like, I knew I wasn't going to make it, but they still understand the game. So when I understood I can be really honest without over teaching, without being too harsh, too critical, that's when I found my voice.
Jimmy, I want you to be honest about what you thought of AJ. I know you played together, or in the Japan series or whatever.
Right.
But as a fellow competitor, a dude that is out there every single day, like you were always posting 162 games a year. What did you think of AJ and how much he played, but also as a person? Because you said it a little bit, you alluded to it. You weren't ever afraid to be opinionated.
No, not at all. So I didn't play too much against him earlier in my career, but I would hear stories. People hated him. Why? Because he always talks. But as a pitcher, he's always fighting for that pitch for you. He's fighting for that strike. He's trying to distract the hitter, get in your head. So the times I face him, I was prepared. I'm coming in with a whole conversation for him also. But it's kind of empty-headed. Like, I know he's going to talk. He's going to try to distract me. But I didn't mind it because I was always prepared.
Hey,
now,
it wasn't like you weren't talking either now.
I said I had a conversation ready. Yeah, I had a conversation ready.
It wasn't
a
lot of trash. It was trash talking, but it was friendly,
it was good. Yeah, and
Aaron Rowan said, it was all lies anyway,
big fan. But yeah, so and then obviously got to know him personally. So I didn't mind. It wasn't. I didn't feel like he was trying to sabotage my bet. He's just trying to give his team and his pitch the advantage. If you fail for it, that was on you. So I already knew the game coming in, face him. So I didn't mind. But Schwarber was just in there sharing the story back in 2015 where you were down in Atlanta, and I guess pitcher threw a ball right down the middle. You didn't care about framing. It was right down the middle, and he called it a ball. And you stand up, and this is where AJ got away with murder. He would never look at the umpire. He would stand up. Sometimes he'd hold it, kind of like fake pump, and he's still talking. He'd throw it back, and he's talking trash to the umpire. But Schwarber said, "You got that as a ball, or you touch an umpire? You got that as a ball?" He's like, "Yeah, well, you didn't give me a good look at it." And you turned around and lost it and said, "Give you a good look at it. That ball's right down the bleeping middle." What do you mean, give you a good look at it? And those were things that, as a player, as a hitter, you hear that. You hear him fighting for his pitcher, but it's getting in your head because you're like, well, I saw it as a ball. And if you don't have the courage to say something either back to AJ, like, hey, that's enough, or to the umpire, like, no, you got it right, which I would. Anytime a catcher would fight for something, I'm like, no, you got it right. You made the right call because he's doing the same thing for his pitcher. So if you took it the wrong way, obviously got under your skin. And don't get me wrong, I've seen him do some stuff or, on ESPN, kind of get some fights and things like that. But so for me, for me, I was okay with it. I'm like, because it's all gamesmanship. So I never had a problem with AJ. Even today, I see him. It's like, what's up? Like we started together. He started a little bit before me, but in TV. So it's all competitive banter.
All right, let's dig into your team now. I know you play for some other teams, but
Yes.
you're a Philly. You're a Philly
100%.
guy. Your blood runs deep for Philly. Can they win it all this year?
Anybody can. Anybody can win it all. I think they definitely have the pieces to do it. They have the team to do it. They've been there. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say I feel the NL runs through LA.
Okay.
That's just what it is. I mean, first of all, you have to come out the National League to even get to the World Series. And what the Dodgers have done, they've put themselves in a position that they're going to make it very hard for anybody to beat them. Now, they're going to lose games. They're going to lose series. Do the Phillies have what it takes? Yes. I love the fact that they have a good starting staff. They had a good starting staff last year. Then you add Luzardo to it this year. I think that's formidable. It's always a question about the back end. It's been like, even when I was here, that's how far back it goes. We had Brad Lidge for some years and matched into Brad Lidge. JC matched into Brad Lidge for a few years, but after that, it was always kind of mix and match. And they still have that going on now. So I don't know what it is about, being a relief pitcher for the Phillies, but if they sew that up, they could find themselves winning a lot of games. But I still think right now it goes through the NL until it's proven otherwise. The Dodgers in the NL until it's proven otherwise.
You did it. How hard is it to go back-to-back World Series?
I guess looking back at it, it was hard. But when you're in it and you believe it, you're supposed to be there. And I think that's the mentality you have to have as a winning player, that when you get there one time, we won and then we ended up losing and then we never got back. But I always felt like we were supposed to be there. We put ourselves in position. We made the moves up top as far as the staff and the players that they would bring over to be in the World Series, but we only got there twice. But that's the mentality you have to have. Like, we're supposed to be here until you're eliminated or you win it all.
What'd you say when you guys won? Now we don't have to hear about the '83 team anymore.
We don't have to hear about the 1980 Phillies because, and I tell that to Bryce. I tell that to Bryce. I've told him plenty of times, if you don't want to hear about '08, go win it.
True.
Because I felt the same way. Like, I got tired of hearing about 1980 like that. I was born in '78. I don't want to hear about the guys that played in '80. I love them. I knew Mike Schmidt. I learned about Larry Bow. I was like, I have to go, and that's who I was chasing. But in order for you to create your own legacy, go create it. If you don't want to hear about the '08 team, go win. They'll talk about you guys. And then you tell the next generation, if y'all don't want to hear about the 2025 Phillies, go win. And you start all over. So that's what was a driving factor for me. And I told Boa when he was my manager, we started at the vet, they won it all in '80. They had the 78, 79, win in '80, lost in '83, but they were a team. And I told them, this is the house that you built. When they built that place next door, that's going to be the house that I built. And we got there, we create our own legacy in that building, and it's going to be here for a while now. So for the guys that come after, you can add to that legacy. You don't want them to talk about us, go win it. And I encourage them to do it all the time. Go win. Don't let them talk about us. You should be tired about it, hearing about it. And I'm sure you felt the same way.
What year did you think you guys should have won it going through that time, besides '08, obviously?
08, 9, and 11. 10, the Giants, they were just a team on a mission. They were, they got some young guns that came up there and a whole bunch of guys that were kind of, throwaways, where teams were kind of, trading them off. We did not sign them back. And they all took that personally, obviously. They went out there and won, and they 10, 12, 14, we know about the history of it. But in 11, I felt that, that was our last chance. We were the best team in baseball, I felt. 102 and 60 or something like that. But we had one obstacle, and we knew it. It was the St. Louis Cardinals. We knew that. I mean, when we won on the last day, which the Braves, kind of end up giving us that game. They made an error, and I think it was like Brooks Conrad booted the ball, and we ended up winning. St. Louis got in. We were like, if we get past them, we win it all. That's how we felt. But we knew the type of team they were in playoffs. They were a team built for the playoffs. They had management, they have staff, they had confidence. They had just won it in '05. And we just didn't get out that series. But I would say 8, 9, although we lost 9, and 11 were definitely the years that we probably had a chance to, if we didn't get 3, for sure 2 rings.
All right, two fan questions for you.
Yep.
One, the best game or your favorite game you ever played in?
The favorite game I ever played in. Wow. I mean, okay, I'll exclude the World Series because those are all special.
No, those
Anything in the
count.
playoffs. No, but I'll go back to 2007, and because that was the first year we actually made it to the playoffs. It was the last game of the season. Whatever, two. We played a series at home against the Mets. We had a 4-game set, and the last game of that series, Billy Wagner, Chase Utley, Tadahito Iguchi, I think, is on second. And if we don't win, we really have no chance of chasing them down. Chase gets a game-winning single, and we complete the sweep, and we knew we were in business. We were like 3 games out with a week left. Still, it's going to take a miracle, but without that, we don't get there. So that happens. And then the game we actually clinched the playoffs, we're in Philly. We're playing the Nationals. We come out. The Mets are down 5-0 early to the Marlins. And all they have to do, they win, they're in. There's nothing we can do. But we're in the clubhouse because that's before everybody had to start at the same time. So we had a 1:35 start. They had like a 1:10 start. And you hear the crowd. They're just roaring and stomping. And the TVs are off because we don't want to let that get into our psyche because we just have to handle business. If they lose and we lose, they go on. And so we're getting dressed, and I'm putting my uniform, and I'm never out super early, but I couldn't help myself because – so he's cracking up with that. So I'm never out super early, but the TVs aren't on, but I want to go see what's happening. I want to believe it's good, but I don't want to get caught up in that because we still have a job to do. So we come out as 5-0. We end up beating the Nationals, clinching the division for the first time since '93, and it was just like we finally got here. Now, it was short-lived. We were 3 and done, but just the fact that we made it to the playoffs, we kind of took that monkey off our back. The game against the Mets, and then the Mets losing and us winning in the last game of the series to clinch the playoffs. Outside of obviously winning the World Series, those are probably the 2 most exciting games that I've been a part of.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, so I have a question then on
Yep.
how much swag you brought. Kratz was talking about it before. Okay, now let's fast forward to now, right? 2025.
Yep.
How do we keep baseball in the national stratosphere more like it was not even 30 years ago, right? Like even 10 years ago? Why is it getting kicked to the curb by so many, right? And there's some people that are going to watch just like, no, the game's fine. The game's fine, but just national attention, especially for a younger audience. We try to do this every day, but what's your take on maybe what's missing now or how the competition is thriving as well, other sports and other options?
I honestly think it is starting to come back. Obviously, the game is for a while. It wasn't exciting. There was just home runs and strikeouts. There was nothing in between. We saw Shohei go 50-50 last year. The year before that, Acuna went like 40-70 or whatever it was. So those things that were more skill based are starting to come back into the game. We sped up the game. We have the pitch clock, like called the shot clock, but we have the pitch clock. Those things that are shortening up the end of the game. And I think because of that, fans are starting to come back. We were losing fans, a lot of fans, the last parts of the game. And I think that's where real baseball fans really, tend to hang around to see the finish of the game. But yet and still, the other sports are sexy. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about Patrick Mahomes? Who doesn't want to talk about LeBron James or Kyrie Irving when he's on and is comparing him to Allen Iverson and his handles? SGA, who I watched play last night, like they're exciting. You get to see their faces. They have the ball, in the crucial moments. Baseball isn't a game where you can put up your best pitcher or your best batter when the game is on the line. The other sports, your quarterback can, me and Kelce, look, it's this me and you until we score. SGA, you're gonna take you're taking the last shot.
So you want the golden at bat rule?
Yeah,
That's what you want. You want the golden at bat rule.
Look, the golden bat rule is kind of weird, but it might do something. It is weird, but the other sports, they get to do that. They get to put their best player in the prime time every single time. The Golden State Warriors, who's my team, Steph Curry, he's getting a shot. It may be at half court, and he's probably going to make it. You kind of expect that. In baseball, it's like, look, bro, you're getting up in the 6th inning, you might get one more at bat if things work out well that you get your best batter up there with the game on the line. So you can't force that in baseball. So I think that's what makes those sports sexy, that they're star-driven, where baseball is starting to become more of that. It's always been about the name on the front, not the name on the back, and the other sports have recognized if you have a star, we want to promote that star. Yes, people are going to follow that team because of that player, but they're more than likely going to buy that person's jersey, follow that person because they like that person in that moment. In baseball, you just can't force that.
You mean if Bryce Harper came up in the 8th inning in a playoff game against the other team's closer and hit an opposite field dinger? You mean that type of like super big moment?
Yes, don't get me wrong. They happen. That happens, and that's the beauty of it. Like when they happen, they're so special because circumstance put these two guys in that situation where, like I said, in the other sports, you can make a guy be in that situation. Last shot of the game, we're going to run some screens, or we're going to run some cross routes, and quarter or the tight end or running back's going to come out the field and may do a reverse jump over a linebacker's head like Saquon. You can put guys in that situation, but in baseball, it just happens. As you talk about that San Diego, and I was really happy about that. About I was jumping around. We're in I forgot where we were. I think we were in New York covering the game, and I'm like, bro, that was a moment for Bryce. Like that. That was my. I thought my walk-off double. My walk-off double was exciting, but I was more excited about that. And I think it's always more exciting, as you know, when you're watching other people do it. When you do it, it's like I did the job, and yes, you're celebrating, but I did the job. When you watch somebody else do it, it's like, yo, that's why.
my boy.
That's my boy. He's clutch.
Boy, look what he
And
did.
it's different. So yeah, but those moments, as you said, a la Bryce, they happen. My moment in 09, it happened. Things had to work out perfectly for me to get that at bat. Things had to work out perfectly for that situation to come down with Bryce. And that's what makes baseball special. But the other sports are sexy because you can continuously put a guy in that position to be successful.
All right, last one, Jimmy. More of a story and more of like a thank you kind of thing. 2011, I signed with the team. I'm in spring training. You go play, guys go play in the B game. I went and played in the B game. I hit a dinger against Chad Cordero, Chief. He was at the end of his career. It was the last at bat. It might have even been like the 6th inning of the B game, right there on the field, right behind you. And I was walking in, and you go, hey, I heard you hit a homer. You go, good job, because you were in the cage taking your 1,000 swings that you always took. You go, good job. You go, but just be ready. Chuck was watching the home run, and he told me you hit a home run. He always puts the dudes that hit a home run in the game on the big field. And I was like, all right. 5th inning, I'm down in the bullpen. The phone rings. It's Chuck. He's like, hey, get Kratz down here. He's going to pinch hit. You got me ready. I got an opportunity, and that day I actually hit a home run. And I think those little moments help guys who are on the fringe be noticed. I didn't make the team until way late in the season that year. I was in AAA, but it helps those little things. So appreciate you, J-Roll.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, and it goes to show you never know who's watching. And they say that, and we take that as a cliche. You never know who's watching. No, you really never know who's watching. I want to know who's coming up. And like I said, Charlie, he's the guy. Jimmy, I like guys that can hit, J-Roll. I just tell you, make that bell ring, son. And that was Charlie. And you hit a home run, I knew the drill. And I always wanted my teammates to be ready. And whatever little thing I can do to help them. I don't take credit for it because you're the one that have to go and execute it. But it happened to me. Be ready for your moment. And I want you to be successful. There's enough room for everybody. So that was just one of those moments. And thanks for sharing. I'm glad I can have a little part in that, E.
Kratz ain't hitting no home run today. It's blowing straight in.
Straight in, bro.
Kratz got no chance today.
Straight Chicago style.
It's blowing 30 straight in from left, Kratz. You ain't got no chance today.
Put a bunt down, Jimmy. Get your legs going.
Bunt.
Him bunt?
Bunts.
Jimmy's a double homer guy. He's not a bunt guy. Triple.
Blowing out the right, dog.
Oh, yeah.
Blowing out the right.
Jimmy, this was awesome, man. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy camp, and we'll catch you during the season.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Jimmy Rollins joining us on FT from Clearwater. Leo, what do we have? Some weird ones we're hitting this week. Why not? Futures, number of NL West teams to make the playoffs. If you need a reminder on who's in the NL West, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, and I think the Rockies are still there. I've heard that they still have a pulse. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 is by far the leader, and it makes sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense. And as Scott says, not everybody can be an over. Not everybody can be an under. So we said yesterday that I thought 3 teams make it from the East. This lines up perfectly for me to get a minus 125 for 2 teams. I might not touch it because I don't like the value that I'm getting there, but there's a guaranteed 1 team. But is it just 1? No, I think it's the Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be a clear NL favorite here. Unfortunately, they're going to get second place in their division.
Yeah, I still like the Padres too. So plus 190 on 3 teams is not crazy. That's where I would spend a little dough. 'Cause on something like this, I'm not going minus money place over here. So anyway, FOUL is the code to use on BetMGM.com or at the BetMGM app, of course. The code FOUL gets you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet when you sign up. Got to deposit at least $10 into that account. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Here, come back to Kratz and I for a moment. I want to remind everyone about something. So next week, FT takes the spring training tour to Arizona for the first time. We've had many questions about the schedule. Yes. So I want to keep reminding everyone these next couple days because people are confused, and that's fair. But also, we are lining up the show with player schedules. Usually the show all year is 1 o'clock Eastern time. Last couple weeks, we're doing it at 11 Eastern time so we can talk to players. I've heard Kyle Schwarber is going to join us next, by the way, and he'll make his FT debut. Next week, 1 p.m. Eastern time, back to 1. Why? Because if the show is at 11 Eastern time, it would be too damn early in Arizona, and everyone would be cranky, including the players, and they wouldn't join us. So anyway.
And including you. You don't
I
like
would
early.
be cranky, yes. I'm still TBD if I'm going to be in Arizona or not for other reasons, but either way, I would be cranky about it. So I'm very happy that it's 1 o'clock. The week after that, back to 11 as we'll be back in Florida for spring training camps. Here we go. Kyle Schwarber joining us right now on Foul Territory, making his FT debut. Kyle, great to have you on, man. And, you know, it warmed our heart when we were talking to Alec Bohm before. And we're like, who are you just most excited to see when you get back to Clearwater? And he's like, Schwarbs. He didn't even hesitate. So how you doing, man? You brightening everyone's day?
How's it going, guys? Sorry, Kratzy. I'm not a very good texter. I know you've reached out a couple times, but I'm happy to get on the show with you guys finally. So you guys are nailing it.
Glad it finally happened. Glad we got to see that face. The last text you sent me was when you had your kid, and now he's driving, so that's great.
Oh, man. God, it feels like it, but it's the way time flies, man. It really is, but I'm happy to be on. You guys have been doing such a great job with the show. It's really cool to be a part of it.
By the way, you talk about how time flies. I mean, I remember when Schwarbs was a catcher. I played against Schwarbs. And I think it was his first game he caught in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Old Schwarb's back there catching.
Yeah, I got a good Pierzynski story. I got a good story about you. So
which one? Someone already told the Pierzynski story with me.
There's plenty of them. I mean,
the only one I remember, there's a great photo of me sliding into home plate and you're catching and you looking at me. And I don't know, it was like I think Lester was pitching, and Lester and I at the time weren't speaking.
Definitely didn't catch Lester.
Didn't catch Lester.
Whoever it was. That was.
And I'm like scoring, and I'm like, yeah. And Schwarber's looking, and you're looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing?
It was my rookie year. I mean, that's the only time I really caught. But I mean, I'm at the plate. You're catching. We're playing Atlanta. I mean, someone couldn't have thrown probably more middle strike, and you know, no offense, you didn't catch it the best, and the guy balled it. Guy balls it.
True. It's true.
Guy balled it. And you stand up, you throw the ball back, and you didn't look back yet at the umpire. And you go, why'd you ball that? And he goes, why'd you ball it? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, please, dear Lord, like this don't change his mind. He can't change his mind to a strike, right? Because I thought it was a strike. And then all of a sudden he goes, well, you didn't give me a good look at it. And so then you turn around, and you just start rifling off. You go, I don't need it to look good if it's right down the middle. I'm like, he's not wrong. But I'm like, thank goodness it was a ball.
Hey, I would have been like this now.
Oh
I
yeah,
tapping my head.
I know.
Hey guys, we need a We need a replay on this. We need the incoming tail thing. So, that is so funny. Yeah,
Good times, man.
Someone else just told that story. Was it J Roll that just told that story?
Was
Yeah.
Jimmy telling? Because I was telling about that story,
he
and I was
just told
telling
us
the
that story,
story
so
in
I'm glad
there.
that
I
you
was
came
telling
on
the
and
story in
confirmed it.
there, but
I'm surprised I didn't cuss a little.
I'm sure you did, but we're gonna keep it light. But
All right, what is it? I got to ask because I didn't get to play with you. I played against you very little when you first came up. What is it about you that guys love? And I know you're going to be humble and say, I don't know, but what is it? Because every team you've been on, everywhere you've gone, people gravitate. I mean, when you were a young kid, Lester, Ross, and these guys, Rizzo, Bryant, they talked about you as being like a leader in the clubhouse. What is it that you do that stands out?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I feel like coming from where I came from is part of it, right? Like what my parents did, and kind of seeing, my dad was a police officer for, over 30 years, and just the way that he interacted with people, I think that was kind of a big way of looking at that, right? As a police officer, a lot of guys come on really bad days, and the way that you're able to see, I tell this story a lot. I was at a gas station with my dad one day, and this dude tatted up all over the place on his head, face, neck. Right, comes up to him, and they just sit there having a conversation. I go, "What was that about?" And he goes, "Oh, I actually arrested that guy like 20 years ago, and he was just talking, saying thanks, blah blah blah, like things like that, right? It's just kind of always never judging the cover, right? It's always, I'm going to respect someone until you give me a reason not to respect you, and I think that's the greatest part, and also just being able to have, I like to have fun. I love having fun. Like, this game's fun. This, what we do, it can be frustrating. It can be tough. It's the hardest thing to do, in my opinion, in sports, is to hit they put us on offense and we don't have the ball. And, you got to be able to try to find a way to make light and have fun, but also to have that business side to you as well. And I think, too, it's just the experiences I've had throughout my career, right, where, I've had a lot of really good veterans throughout my career. Coming into Chicago, like you said, I can name the list of these guys who have made such a huge impact on my career. Lester's, Rossi, Rizzo, Lackey, John Jay, Jason Hayward. I could just keep naming guys, and who played Dexter Fowler, who played such an integral part of me being young and coming up, and now you get to that part where you're kind of the veteran in the clubhouse now, and I kind of relate to the dudes who are kind of up and down, or whatever it is. Win a World Series in 2016, then I got my first step there, and then all of a sudden the next year I'm in AAA, right? Like,
Schwarb, hang on one sec, Schwarb. Your mic is like super. We're gonna reset you because your mic just like became it just became all like staticky.
Yeah,
so we'll go to
sounded
my
like a cyborg,
long
but
question.
yeah, ask your question, and by the time we know how to fix it, so by the time he comes back, we'll get it.
Super metallic. I guess it is. I guess Kyle is a machine. People are like, how can he be so nice and perfect and hitting dingers? I guess he's a machine, and we started hearing the machine coming out in him there.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, whenever we get him back, let me know when Kyle can hear me. But I mean, like, this guy's been like, people need to look at his baseball reference page, because like, this dude had a good career to start his career. And now what he's done on this Phillies contract has been freaking awesome. Like,
I think he's back. So what's your question?
Okay. My question, you're talking about like all this stuff, like all the guys and everything. This team right here, I was gonna ask about ping pong. Is that part of like the mystique? Is that part of like Kyle Schwarber, just like, I have to have some kind of competitive outlet? And you're not the best, is what we heard in the clubhouse, but you're the one that always wants to play.
You love the competition, right? And I mean, the ping pong game has definitely taken a step back. I've lost too many times, so I'm done giving people the satisfaction of beating me in it. But yeah, I think anything that we can do about like having that competitive side to us, that's funny and to laugh at, right? Because we don't get, we stink, right? We stink at ping pong, we stink at golf, right? Like, but anytime you can get that competitive side to you on something that you're not supposed to be good at, I think that's fun, and this brings more guys together.
Kyle, I got one.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead,
Scott.
AJ. Okay,
No, I was gonna
Kyle. I think we got the same question. Turn to both. Go ahead, AJ.
You batting leadoff this year, or the real fast guy Trey going to bat?
I don't know.
You want to bat leadoff?
Do I want to? I mean,
Joe Madden has ruined your career by making you hit leadoff. Right? That was like Joe Madden's thing, and now other teams are like, "Hey, let's do it."
It's fun. I mean, I would say I batted there a lot, and there's a comfortability factor there, but also too is like there's no better feeling than winning a World Series. So if we feel like that, me being in the 4-hole or being in any other position in the lineup, that's going to get us to winning a World Series or helping us get closer to a World Series and hopefully holding up that trophy, I want to do it. I'm not. I've seen a lot of winning in my days, and I've only freaking held the trophy up once. Been to the playoffs every year except for one, and been in 2 World Series. So it's hard to get there, and you want to keep getting back there and having that experience at such an early age. Where I'm at now, time's not on our side, right? You're only getting older, and you're only getting years closer to whenever you're done with the game, and you want to get back to holding up as many trophies as you can. So whatever they want me to do, I'm all about it.
11. 11 is the number. Can you get 11 bags this year?
Yes.
Is Figgy going to let you do it?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean,
you're a free agent. You gotta add to the bag total this year. Forget the homers.
Yeah, I think I could definitely. I mean, I think my first year here I got over 10. So
you got 10. You got 10. Yeah,
I think I got 10, and then I didn't have the best running form in 23, and then last year I actually had some decent running form. So hopefully this year the running form's in pristine form that we get that base total up, because heck, if it was funny, I was actually talking to JT about it today, because we had a signs meeting today, and I was like, guys, I know my signs, 3-0, got the green, which I never swing anyways, and then don't steal. And I'm like, JT, what happens if I can get the second base for you? If I'm on first and you're hitting,
it was
like, good point. I'm like, what about if I can get the third base for you with less than 2 outs? And but I'm not going to be stupid about it, right? Like, I know I'm not an idiot. And I'm not the fastest human in the world, but if I feel like that base could be given to you, you got to take advantage of that.
All right, so have you seen the memes? Have you seen the memes of you running and Jack Sparrow running? Because it's one that makes me laugh. Does it make you laugh, or does it piss you off?
It makes me laugh. It does. No, it does make me laugh, because it did look like that, and then it could have looked like that video was in slow motion, but that was in real time. So, yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm not one to shy away from making fun of myself. I love that. I love the banter. I love it all. It's part of it, right? You got to keep things, like I said, you got to keep things light. You got to keep things light in this game. And heck, if I can make fun of myself and laugh at myself, that's a really good thing.
That's the best advice. By the way, anybody out there that plays baseball or life in general, if you can't laugh at yourself, no matter what happens, it's going to be a long life. It's going to be a long baseball career, but it's really going to be a long life.
Yeah, I mean, I've made way too many mistakes not to laugh at them.
Hey, so I want one on the Cubs. I know it's been a minute now, but you're with a team that's had some continuity now. First off, did you think that was going to be the spot, you, Rizzo, KB, for much longer? And what can you take from that experience when you're with these guys now, kind of relating back to the top of this interview where you're like, damn, it moves way too fast?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you look at it, and for me especially, right, like it's your first organization, the team that you get drafted by, and you think that this is it, and then you go, you get caught up within a year, and we're in 2015. Next thing you know, we're in a National League Championship Series, and we get bounced, and then we're all fiery, we're hungry, we're young. We just made some. We signed Hayward and made. Lackey came in, right? Like then we signed some other pieces, and you're thinking like, okay, like this is the year, right? And then, we win the World Series. You're expecting a lot more, and then I think that was just a way that it kind of put it in perspective, right? That especially where I'm at now, where you don't realize how hard it is to win actually in this game. And I mean, that was a great team we had and a great core we had there for years. And we were only able to reach one World Series. And, going back to, I guess, the original question, right? Yeah. You think that team's going to last forever. You being the young guy myself, I'm like, dude, we're gonna be here for the rest of our careers, and we're gonna do great things, and we're gonna, people are gonna, love us for the rest of our lives. And then you don't realize there's a business side to baseball,
And it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I go back to myself being non-tendered, and after the 2020 year, sure, you should have non-tendered me, right? I hit 180. I didn't do anything that great in 60 games, and and then the whatever. And then I think it was a little bit I guess it was probably a little bit more shocking after going into 21 when I was already gone and everyone's getting traded. I think that was interesting. I mean, I felt like the nucleus was still kind of there, that they still had a really good team. They had a really good core of guys. I mean, they're great people. But that's the business side of the game. They made a decision, and everyone moved on. And for me, it happened to be the best thing in my career that that I was able to kind of get a little reset, get that 1 year prove it deal, and then I found my way here. And now we're in this window of competing. And we've been to a World Series, we've been to an NLCS, 2 NLCSs, and got bounced last year early. That it's like I said, it's hard, right? But there's also still that you got to have that expectation. I always say this, my line. This team, when we walk out, we expect to win the game. We play 162 games. You're not going to win every game. It's just not realistic. And it's funny when everyone asks the questions of what's going on, what's going wrong, or whatever throughout the course of the season. Or say you lose one on a winning streak. You look around the room, everyone's pissed off about not winning the game. And because you expect to win. It's just who you are. It's in your blood. It's in your DNA, right? And you just got to be able to have that focus and have that that want, like we always have. We've had that. There's nothing that's changed from 22 to now in terms of determination, will, aspect, fighting, clawing, the trying to get to a World Series and win it. There's we just got to be able to go out there. We got to play our game, and when we get to a postseason format, we got to be playing really great baseball because it's anyone can win in a series.
Agreed. All right. So speaking of winning and traditions of winning and believing you're going to win, Indiana football this year. Okay.
How about that?
You got to do one of the things. I've got to do a lot of stuff in my career, but you got to go on game day. Now you dressed up like, I don't know what you dressed up like.
Yeah.
But you got to go and be the guest picker on game day at an Indiana football game. Did you ever think that would happen?
Never.
And how awesome was it? Because you made good picks, right?
Yeah, I think
Didn't
I
you
finished
win?
the top picker.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to be that I decided to pick against Notre Dame, who knocked out Indiana in the playoffs. I took Navy over Notre Dame, and I don't know why. I was just thinking I needed an upset, right? I needed some sort of upset. I didn't just want to keep picking favorites because it was kind of a favorite week that week. And there was one pick 'em between, I think it was LSU and A&M, and it was A&M at home, and I went with A&M, but I was like, man, I need like a legit upset, so I went with Notre Dame. But yeah, what a cool experience. I mean, you always, every Saturday you always wake up and you turn it on and you're sitting there watching, then you got to go to the field. But to be able to have that experience, I was at my farm and I got a text saying, hey, and it was like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, like, hey, do you want to be the guest picker? Absolutely, sign me up. So It was funny. I actually was dressed up originally in khakis and a polo. And then I show up, I get there to the field, and I go to my equipment guy in college. He still works there. And, they said, hey, we got a bag, so they gave me a football jersey. So I put the jersey on, and I was like, well, do you got candy stripe pants? It's like, oh, yeah, I got some back here. He goes, well, do you want a helmet too? I'm like, absolutely. So that ended up being totally thrown together on the spot. And then, go out there. It was awesome. It's kind of crazy how quick it is. So they get you mic'd up. I got to talk to Corso. That was awesome. And then, they take you out to get ready to go on set. Then you go on set, you shake everyone's hands, and they're like, all right, we're back with the guest picker. I was like, oh, here we go. Like, gotta get this thing dialed in. And,
Do you have notes?
No. So they give you your picks. Luckily, they don't make you give scores or anything. So I was kind of worried about like having to put scores up there. Like, I'm like, I don't know what the scores are going to be, right? We can give our best guess. But so it was luckily just pick it. But I will say it was like we get done, and then they go, all right, thanks, everyone. And it's noon kickoff. And we got done with at like 11:58. They're taking this thing down. Everyone's heading out. And I'm like, that's it? They're like, yep. And I'm like, perfect. So got to watch the game and watched Indiana beat Washington and had a great time. And then, went up to Indiana. Went up to Notre Dame, watched Indiana get beat in the playoffs. But it's such a cool experience. I'd never seen that. 3 years at Indiana, I never saw the stadium packed, and it was such a cool experience to see IU packed out. And the coach, Sig's got these guys in a really good spot, and hopefully they can keep it going.
All right, 2 quick ones to end here, and then we'll let you go. How big was that helmet they put on you? Was it a big helmet?
Who's got a bigger head, me or you?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I got 5'8".
I'm at a half.
But you still have hair, so yeah, I still got a bigger head. But I'm taller. So that
you
matters.
are taller, yes.
All right.
That was an intimidating person to look at when he would stand up behind the plate and catch it for Milwaukee.
Yep. We played because you're never in the minor leagues, so we never really got to play a ton against each other. But that was the 1 year. But this is super random because he was on earlier for us. How perfect is JT Realmuto? Like, does he have any flaws?
He's pretty good at a lot of things. So I mean, it's it's Captain America, right? Like the All-American football player. I mean, the guy on the golf course, he's a stick. He catches. He runs the bases like he's a center fielder. He's got power. He's got a cannon, right? Like. The guy doesn't really do many things wrong.
Catchers are the best,
yeah,
Kyle.
I mean, he doesn't do many things wrong. He plays the game the right way, and I mean, and he's good at poker. He's good. Yeah, like there's just not many things he's not good at. I'm sure if you put a basketball in his hands, he'd be draining 3-pointers. And I got to like try to find the one thing, like the one sport that he's bad at, so that I can expose him.
I need it. Expose him, and let us know.
I'm going to try. Trust me. That might be my mission this year is to like maybe like bring out a pickleball paddle and try to work this guy or something.
Nope. That's not it. No.
Board game. There's got to be some board game where he's just
like
trapped.
Yahtzee or something.
Yeah. Something random. You'll get him. Although he is really smart. But Kyle, this was awesome, man. Really enjoyed the conversation. Hope you had fun with it. Thanks for obviously giving us some love. And good luck the rest of spring training. We'll catch you during the season.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Kyle. Kyle Schwarber with us on FT from Clearwater, Phillies camp, crushing it. Good stuff. These are your guys.
He's a guy. I think it's his eyes. I think it's Kyle's eyes. I think if you stare into his eyes, you're like, he's just a gentle bear. He's a gentle bear, and he's.
I think it's his tone.
Nice. Is that what it is? You think it's his tone?
You know how there's some people in life that speak and you instantly either gravitate towards what they have to say or listen, and there's others who just either talk a lot or they say dumb shit, whatever it is, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I have some friends where it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like anytime like you're walking amongst a group and they say something, you're like, oh, I got to hear what they have to say.
Because they're not talking a ton.
Yeah, there's just an aura there, right? It's the tone, it's the voice itself, right? I could picture him doing a story on a podcast that you would listen to before you go to bed, something like that. Someone else had that kind of voice. Remember that we had on? Damn, I don't remember
Recently?
who it was. Oh, you know who it is? I told him in a meeting. Kyle Glazer. Have you ever heard Kyle Glazer's voice?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
he's our Friar Territory host. It's really sounds like something that should be on, a meditation app or something like that. So
Kyle
anyway.
Glazer and Kyle Schwarber are spirit animals.
If they host a podcast together, it would crush.
It would be the most listened to. Listened to.
It would. And a lot of people would fall asleep to it, but not because of the content, just because they feel like, their parents are reading them a bedtime story.
Soothing.
Mm-hmm. It is soothing.
The Kyles.
It's smooth.
The Kyles.
Mm-hmm. The Kyle cast. There it is. Anyway, Matt Strahm next. So we're looking forward to that conversation. He is a baseball card junkie, obsessed. Obviously, we're going through our learning experiences there. So we'll dive into that later on, doing a little That's What He Said with some quotes from JT Realmuto, who we spoke to earlier. So we'll give you a couple lines from that. Phillies Show had Jason Kelce on, so we should be able to sneak that in there as well, and maybe a clip from Trevor May's show before we say goodbye. So got about 45 minutes left. BRB with Strahm.
Rookie card in Top Series 1 right now, and Dylan Cruz. So I enjoy that. I don't really collect, unfortunately, middle reliever 101 rookie cards usually end up in like a 8-year-old's car seat or something. And
so you don't know where it is?
No idea. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was
maybe in someone's bike spokes or something.
Okay. I was fortunate enough that I just did a signing with Topps, and so people now on Twitter are sending me. So if anyone out there finds my 101, we might be able to make a deal just because I want to have it.
No doubt.
It took everything in my power
put it back
to put it back in the box. I'm like, will they even notice if this isn't in there? I just keep it out.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many players have asked me, like, hey, would they know if I kept this?
I'm pretty sure they would know about that one.
Absolutely, bro. Like, you notice how they put it in the box between it's just by itself? Like, they'll know it's gone. But yeah, so a lot of guys are interested in their 101s.
One thing, I never got into collecting my own cards because there was like a billion of them. Like it was just, I was the common card that everybody actually does put in their bike spoke. But one thing I got was the print, the stamp,
printing plate.
The actual,
printing plate.
And my uncle gave that to me, and that was pretty cool. It's like super rare, but it was what they made my card out of.
Right, and I think so. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's 4 different ones. It's like magenta, yellow, black, and then like a reverse one. So like my favorite one's that reverse one where I'm throwing right-handed. Looks like I'm pitching right-handed. So it's like that's kind of cool. I like tracking down those printing plates.
All right,
average white righty.
Average
white righty.
AWR.
Yes, sir.
AWR. There it is. All right, so I was telling the story. So the Paul Skeens thing obviously is a huge deal this offseason. So one day my wife somehow sees this on Instagram, and she's like, I want that card. And so one day, randomly, she goes, we're going to the card shop. And I go, I know we have one in Orlando. I don't know where it is. So I Google it. And it's like, oh, they're at Target and they're at Walmart. So I start hitting Targets. Well, they don't really have, they have like the little one single packs. Like
the retail stuff.
Yes. And I'm like, no. So I start calling around, and I call a guy I know in Chicago, and I say, hey, can you get some of these? He goes, yeah, how many do you want? I was like, how many can I get? And he's like, well, they only allow you to buy 5 at a time or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'll take 5. They'll ship them to me. So then I start calling Orlando card shops, and some of them have them. And I go, so I was driving all over Orlando looking for these. And then I finally find a card shop across town, drive over there. I walk in, the guy has 3 boxes of them. So I'm like, okay, I'll take 3. And then I'm digging around. He's like, wait,
are you AJ?
Yeah, that's exactly what and he had a White Sox hat on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, I'll tell you what I'll do. I have one more in the back that I was holding, but I'll give it to you if you sign something for me. I'm like, sure. Of course, he's still charging. I'm like, how about we kick that for free? Yeah, right?
Exactly.
So not only was I involved, my whole family, and then we took the boxes home, and I think I ended up with like 12 boxes of these things.
Okay.
And so So we were like one box a night.
Yep.
And so me and my son and my wife, we sit down and we start doing this whole thing. And we played a game like who can make the best team, right?
Okay.
So you get but it had to be the special
that's
cards.
Awesome. Yeah.
So you get all these cards out, but then you start getting like there's an all-star card, there's a red card, a green card, a yellow card, a blue card, an autograph card. And you're like, man, there's a lot more cards. And then of course I spent like a lot of money and got nothing.
It got nothing.
Got no Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Some 10-year-old kid in California found it.
Yep.
You know, that kid's rich for life.
Yeah, I call them they're my slot machines. That's what boxes are to me. I'm not one to go to the casino or anything, so I'll take a box of cards back and roll the dice with that.
Okay.
That's my gambling.
What does your showroom look like? Because our showroom's kind of
mess.
just started.
A
What?
mess, cards everywhere.
No, I think they're talking about an arena club.
My
Your
arena club. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've gotten pretty lucky in there. I actually have. I think I saw it the other day. It was like 40 cards or something like that in my arena club over the last. I don't know. I think it's been like 6 months they've been sponsoring the Card Life or something like that. But I got a few rookie cards of Ohtani in there that are pretty cool. A couple low-numbered Juan Soto autos, and then some prospect stuff. But I would say the rookie Shohei has probably been the highlight of the arena club so far. Can't go wrong with that.
No.
One more for you on this, Matt.
Yeah.
How does a card really rise and pop? Right. Obviously, like you mentioned, prospecting, but for someone like Shohei Ohtani, like, will it continue to rise if he wins more World Series titles? Obviously, he should be a Hall of Famer, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, it's all about hype in today's cards. You'll see. I forget who was the White Sox kid that had an unbelievable start a few years ago.
Oh, you're talking about
Latin guy.
Yermin Mercedes.
So if you go back and look at his card sales from the month before the season, his card selling for $1.25, and then that month of his hype, he sold for $122. And so the same card, $1.25 to $122. So a lot of the selling for profit is hitting the hype, but I mean, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with future Hall of Famers. Shohei, Mookie, Freddie Freeman, Mike Trout, Harper. Like, you just can't.
I was gonna say you better name some Philly dudes in here. They're gonna be angry at you.
Maybe I'm trying to keep them hungry. You know.
Oh,
we got business.
That was my question. How do you know when to sell these cards? Because, like you said, they go up and down, right? So how do you like?
If you ask my wife, she'd tell you I don't know how because I don't sell them. So I always tell her, like, when I was fortunate enough to hit the 101 Gunnar Henderson and his rookie card, and telling her how much we think it's worth, and she goes, "It's worth nothing. You're not going to sell it."
Oh.
And I was like, "That's fair.
Smart.
It's worth whatever my daughter sells it for when I'm in the grave, I guess."
Smart lady. Smart lady.
There you go. Well, Matt, we appreciate the time, man. This was good. We needed the catch up, especially because these guys have some education to do.
Yeah, anytime you need some card info, let me know.
Did you have the belt on?
Yeah.
No. That's in a safe. I don't know what to do with that
belt?
yet.
It was your cards, right?
Yeah. So actually, the Hall of Fame reached out to the producer of the Card Life, and they're opening up a card exhibit at the Hall of Fame. I think it's supposed to be open this summer, but they're opening that up, and they're trying to work out something with him to come shoot an episode on that. And then I think we're gonna give them my belt for their card display. So that'd be cool.
That's awesome, dude. Well, we'll be looking for it. And obviously, good luck this season. We'll catch you during the year, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Matt. FT fam, by the way, thanks to Arena Club for helping to set this up too. arenaclub.com/foul, FOUL. Use code FOUL to get 20% off those slab packs that we're talking about, your first slab pack or your first card purchase. We will be right back with words from JT Realmuto in Clearwater with us. All right, Kratz, let's hit a few injuries just during the break. We hadn't talked about Gunnar Henderson, a little intercostal. It's a little strain. Hopeful to be ready for opening day. This was actually covered at length on Fair Territory today, too, with Ken and Alana. So if you want to check that show out right after this one, do it. They talked about Christian Walker's oblique issue, which we covered yesterday. But Brandon Hyde, O's manager, very hopeful that he'll be ready for opening day and that he is improving. Obviously, you want to take your time on this one, Kratz. the one thing that comes to mind is if you really want the division, everything's going to count. The Yankees are going to be right there with them. I think the Red Sox are going to be a much better ball club this year too. So even the Blue Jays are going to be a much better team. A few days not going to make too much of a difference, but the division could come down to a few games.
A few days in spring training isn't going to make a big difference. The games in March, and I think there's 2 for each team in March, are exactly the same value as the games in September, the end of September. So Hyde saying I'm very hopeful. Well, yeah, he's hopeful. He's hopeful he's getting his MVP candidate shortstop back. Now, if he would have said I'm very, very optimistic that he's ready for opening day, that would be different. Intercostal's a little bit different than an oblique, but it's in the same genosphere. It's in the same, you just got to make sure everything's moving around okay. At his age, he'll recover quickly, but you just don't want obliques to linger because this is a dude that's going to be out there 162 games, and you can't just kind of play through an oblique or an intercostal. You got to let it heal completely, and then you're ready to go.
And one other quick one, Jordan Walker, inflammation left knee. It sounds like they'll stop him for a week and then ramp him back up. Apparently he kind of stepped on a sprinkler out in the outfield. I'm like, what? Why is that a thing? They don't have him completely underground?
I don't know if it was on a backfield or what it was. Maybe they need some upgrades. Maybe the Cardinals need to upgrade their stadium there. Sprinklers in the outfield? I mean, the sprinkler system, don't get it twisted. Sprinkler systems are not like they used to be, where it's this huge unit that comes up out of the ground. No. But if there's some inflammation in that knee, this is a big dude. Meeting him in person when I was in the clubhouse in Jupiter last week, whew, big dude. You need them knees to stay together.
Yeah, he's had a struggle to start his career.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
All right, the theme of the day obviously is the Phillies. We're in Clearwater. We've had great conversations with many. We're getting low on time, so we're going to pick out a clip here from our conversation earlier with JT Realmuto. Let's run it.
Because last year you got dinged up a little bit, right? How are we feeling as a former catcher? You get that off season, and then you come into camp, and of course everyone's like, I feel fresh. But now you play. How are the legs? How's everything feeling?
Yeah, I feel great. I had meniscus surgery mid-season last year, so coming back from that, you never feel. I definitely feel better now coming into camp than I did post-surgery last year. So just getting that last bit of inflammation out and everything and getting back to normal, the body feels great.
That's the first time you've ever had a problem, right? Knee-wise?
So I had a meniscus repair also back in 2019, I believe.
Same knee?
That was the last one, yeah, last time.
I've never had that. What's the rehab like, especially for a catcher?
It's actually not too bad, to be honest, because both of mine were just repairs, so they just went in and clipped out. A little knife or tiny little scissors, they go in with a camera and just clip out a little piece of it.
And they pull it out?
Pull it right out. So honestly, the rehab was maybe 3 to 4 weeks, but you're walking out of surgery. It's nothing too serious. Nothing too bad.
Okay. Listen, again, I was fortunate I never had a knee thing, but I know I've heard enough guys, played with enough guys where they're like, oh man, this knee won't stop. So it's good you got it fixed. It's good you're back. It's good the rehab wasn't bad. What's this year look like for you? 120, 130 games? We can't have Stoddard play too much.
Yeah, it's hard to put a number on it. I think as long as my body feels good and I'm healthy, there's no reason I can't catch 130, 135 games like I always have. So that's obviously my goal. I want to be healthy and productive. But again, I'm going to listen to my body and however I feel, I'm going to be honest with.
You're a free agent this year, so you
got to take care of the body. Got to be healthy. That's the most important thing for sure. But as long as the Phillies are playing well, I'm healthy. I mean that stuff will all take care of itself.
Are you the most athletic catcher in the league? Because I think you are. Because we've had conversations before. When I come in to do a Fox game, and I've asked you about because you set up and then sometimes you go to a knee, and then sometimes you wait until to see if the guy's running. I could have never done that. How on earth do you do that where you're like you set up and then you're like, oh, then you go down the one knee. It never the same.
To be honest, I don't know how I do it. It's just something that kind of evolved with time. I was never like it wasn't ever a fundamental thing where I like worked on these stances and moving like this. It's just something that kind of came natural for me. I think growing up playing multiple different sports and kind of having that athleticism to where I could move a little differently than others obviously helps that. So I would definitely say I'm one of the most athletic catchers in the league. I don't know if you can pinpoint who's the most, but I would definitely consider myself up there.
Good stuff from JT.
He's the most athletic.
Who's second?
Like a Will Smith is pretty high up there. The catcher, not the pitcher, because we're talking about catchers. I know there's somebody I'm missing.
Austin Wells?
I'll have to get. Yeah, maybe. I haven't seen him really move around a ton. That's why I think it's not even close. I don't even think it's like a close second place. Like JT could legitimately play shortstop in the big leagues. He couldn't do it for a whole year, but he could move around like that. When the Dodgers put Mookie Betts behind the dish, then Mookie Betts will be the most athletic.
Well, that's like some of the guys that had a cup of coffee catching and then moved on. MJ Melendez is a great athlete, but he's an outfielder essentially now. Right?
I don't count. I don't count that. It's like in the ilk of Jason Kendall. Jason Kendall could do so many things. Oh, and he was a catcher.
Yeah. You know who used to catch? Dalton Varsho, who's a sick athlete, but now he's just an insane outfielder. So anyway, let's get to, it doesn't count. The Phillies Show had Jason Kelce on recently, so let's run that.
But got to go in the locker room, and I didn't want to make it too much because as an outsider, you never know what these guys want to hear. Got to meet a handful of them in the locker room. That was my first really experience of. I feel like the football locker room is so diverse, and then you go to a baseball locker room. Like some of these guys don't even spit, like it's like broken English in there. And I'm like, okay, this is a whole nother world of trying to bridge people together. So a lot of respect for all the skippers and players out there of trying to facilitate that environment. It was fun. All the guys are fired up. I mean, they're in spring training, they're geared up for the season. So yeah, it was an awesome experience. I grew up a big time Indians fan. I can't call them that anymore. They're the Guardians now.
You can call me Indians. You can call me.
All right. Okay. There we go, Ruben. So when I grew up in the 90s, and they were so good. And I was such a big fan. We lost our football team in 96, and we just had built a new stadium in Jacobs Field. So I became a rabid baseball fan. I loved that era of baseball. And I grew up going to a lot of those games. There's nothing, and I listen, I'm a diehard football fan. To me, there's nothing better than going to a ballpark and watching a baseball game. Like nothing tops it, especially if it's a big time game. But even if it's not, if the weather's right, going out, getting a beer and eating a hot dog at a baseball game, I don't know what's topping that to me.
That was cool. Good get.
Delicious.
Yeah, it does sound delicious. All right, we're going to swing back so we can spend some time on what looks to be a potential beautiful ballpark experience in Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon. We'll hit that next on FT. All right, here we are. We have a little Rocco Baldelli behind the scenes speech to his ball club in the Twins clubhouse. So not yet. We're going to run that soon though. In 10 seconds, I'll run that. But this is the speech that AJ always asks managers before they get to spring training. What's going to be the speech What are you saying this time around when you're the Twins, right? And you're like, we thought we were going to get sold to these billionaires, but we weren't. So we are who we thought we were.
They went the White Sox instead, Twins fans.
That's true. All right, we have the clip.
All the work matters. Your families are on the field. Everybody's celebrating. You got parades. I've never had a parade. I want a parade. Okay? The community will forever be indebted to you. Forever. They'll fucking love you. I want to give our community a gift.
Not wrong.
No
Look
arguments.
at AJ. Look at AJ.
I'm freezing. So
Team-
look at me. This is about how cold I was when we won the World Series and had the parade. Except I was kind of drunk, so I wasn't as cold.
Grade it.
Warming.
Grade it. How was that?
It was the best experience of your life. I'm telling you right now. There's other than marriage, kids, that whole deal.
The speech
Great.
is what he meant. Grading it.
Oh, the speech? The speech
Yeah.
was solid. Trust me, that was a good speech. I want a parade. You know what? I want a parade too, Rocco. So let's go. Get a parade. Every team wants the parade. How many Phillies guys have we had here, Kratz, that say, I want to win the World Series? Right? Everyone. Bryce I just talked to Bryce. What does he want? Win a World Series. Strahm, Bohm, Kyle Schwarber's done it. You know what he wants? Another parade. Why? Because it's awesome.
I'll give it a 7. He had a cheat sheet. He was going, he had the paper, and he was like, he just wanted to make sure he didn't miss. So I'll give it a 7. He hit the right buttons. The boys are going to be fired up, but
Okay. Coming up next.
Hold on.
We're
I'll
going
say
to
this.
talk-
It
yeah.
ain't football, Scott. So you can't be all fired up. There's 7 months to go. So no one really remember that speech other than the video that it was. Because I can't tell you one thing. There's only one speech of an opening manager I ever remember, and it was Ozzie Guillen, and I can't say what he said because it involved some things. That's the only one I ever remember.
Okay, fair. I learned a lot there. All right, we're coming right back, though. The only thing we're going to do in this next segment is there's a game. Kangaroo Court. AJ's not allowed to say Orlando. Let's sizzle hot corner time. The Portland Diamond Project formed in 2017, and they're still working hard. They unveiled renderings. Now, those are renderings, okay? That's on the Willamette River. Hopefully any Portland, Oregon people are judging me and saying either great job, you nailed the pronunciation, or you botched it. I guess I'll learn more if they get a team, but it's between two bridges. The backdrop is super sick. There's public support. There's politician support, which is always a trip. There's a 3.5-year window for them to buy property at what's called Zedell Yards. And we don't know who the big money person behind the scenes is yet, but there's some unknown financier, some anonymous person that could purchase the land if they end up getting the team. And there's a 32,000 seat stadium. I was like, what's the word? Seat stadium with a retractable glass roof. I mean, that looks good, AJ. That's a good look there. I mean, we saw renderings from Vegas, the armadillo action. That's how you do renderings right there.
Maybe the A's might actually end up in Portland instead of Vegas because I still haven't seen a shovel in ground yet. I know this: if they want a team, they better get the A's, or they say they have a guy behind a financier, which is a fancy word for saying a guy with a lot of money, a person with a lot of money. But the financier, if he wants a expansion team, then they better have about $5 billion in their pocket ready to go, which is a lot of money. But good luck, Portland. And if they don't name them the Portland Pickles, because they do have a team called the Portland Pickles, I would be very disappointed.
The Portland Pickle is famous for going viral. Google him if you need more help there. But anyway, $5 billion. I mean, I think the relocation fee I thought is going to be about half that. No, in the twos.
Yeah, but then you got to build a stadium and you got to do the minor leagues and there's a whole bunch of stuff. So you're looking at about $5 billion.
Okay.
As much as two things, we don't want to give away who that financier is because we don't want the Orlando group to steal that financier from Portland. But we also don't want Vegas to understand that they put a rendering out there where the sun is not setting in center field of the stadium. So don't show all your renderings, because I know Vegas probably has some really, really nice renderings, and Fisher's got it all figured out. Insert sarcasm.
And just for your PSA for fans that haven't consumed us talking about this situation, we are not knocking Vegas by any means. We go there frequently. We like it. We are knocking the group that's trying to go there because they are stupid, for a lack of a better term. But in all seriousness, AJ, it's super impressive, right? It sounds like they've got money, they've got public support, they've got an awesome looking setup there near the water with the backdrop. The question is, when MLB does eventually expand, and let's say the A's do end up in Vegas, to me, it's a heavyweight tilt. It's Portland versus Utah. They are both not going to get an expansion team. And if they both have availability at that point, because the A's did end up in Vegas, one team is going to land, on the, whatever Manfred calls it, west side of the country. Remember when he said, yeah, they're going to be west. So Utah or Portland?
I played in Utah, so I'm going to side for Utah because I loved playing in Salt Lake City. So, I mean, other than it was AAA, but it was a great city to play in. The fans are amazing. The stadium, the views are awesome. So, I mean, I'm going to lean towards Utah, but what do I know? I also have been to Portland, had a great time at Portland, by the way.
Hey, I know that guy.
Bryce.
Heard of that guy before. I've heard of him before. So
getting ready for the Wago.
Bryce Harper, future Portland Pickle? No, he's on a billion-year deal.
Expansion draft.
Salt Lake might fly for Bryce. Vegas might fly for Bryce.
He's a Vegas guy. That's right. But what do you think, Kratz, to try and take out any bias? Like, where do you actually think baseball would end up first? Portland, Oregon, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Because of what I've heard about Portland, I have to lean towards Portland. They already have, they have a rendering. I guess, I don't know. I would, if I were to pick a city, I would pick Portland. And I also like it based on the fact that now Seattle, when you're in Seattle, you're not traveling 2.5 hours from Seattle to your next game. That travel can wear on guys, and you'd have more of a close proximity there. It's right on the coast. I would say Portland wins it.
And just to be clear, if there's no other relocation, to me, it is a Portland versus Salt Lake City matchup. West. East looks like Nashville and something Carolina related.
Raleigh, Charlotte.
Yeah, Raleigh, Charlotte versus Nashville. And Nashville's not a lock. They looked like one for a while, but it would have more to do with the fact that MLB is not getting everything it wants from the city, not that the city can't handle baseball. They would love to have baseball. So
Slick City all the way. Slick City all the way on the West Coast. I'm just saying I'm biased, but Slick City, baby.
You're not going to get 2 on one side or 2 on the other side. I just want to be clear on that one. They're going to split it up that way. And there also probably is going to be massive realignment. It's going to piss a lot of people off. But anyway, if you're catching this later on, let us know your thoughts. But great job by the Portland Diamond Project in terms of putting out some cool public renderings and work there, and at least doing the homework to try and make a bid for a team when one does become available via expansion from MLB. FT fam, be right back. All right, we're back, and we actually want to highlight the newest show to the FT network. It's called Mayday. It's our buddy Trevor May. He's going to be on with us next week, actually, in Arizona. So let's show you a little slice from Mayday's Monday episode, which I still advise you to check out when you get a chance. It's not dated, but here's a little clip.
This is ERA for the bullpen, as the starting pitcher gets more outs. So there's a couple interesting things here. One, this little part, I believe this is from 2020. It's 2022 to 2024. So we had openers a lot. So openers account for this like solid. These are relievers a lot more. And then it goes starter. And then the longer the starter goes into the game, the better your bullpen ERA gets until you get to the ninth inning, and then it falls off a cliff because that's when your closer comes in. So keep this in mind. The later into the game, the more often you get your best pitchers. So that's going to affect this to a level. But if you don't account for the closer, just take that out because it's obvious. And then the openers, if you took the openers out, this would be a steady line going down. So the deeper into you go into the game, the better your bullpen performs overall. Because you only have to use your best pitchers too. So it's kind of a two-sided coin. This all makes sense.
This is a new school thinker.
Science.
Who would have thunk if your starting pitcher goes deeper in your games, the better your bullpen is? I never would have thought of that. Like, it's like almost like that's only been talked about for like 150 years. I'm just glad Trevor May is finally putting it on a board where I can see the zig and the zag and the zippity doopity.
The wee!
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, that's the point. The team that has the best starting pitcher, they usually win the games, guys, and they usually win the playoff series.
Wait. Did you say team? Was that the word that you used? The team? It's a team game. It's a team game. Analytics breaks it down as individual. Well, if you just throw this pitch as hard as you freaking can for as long as you freaking can, then we're going to get the best results. No, it's a team game played 162 times.
Just to answer or finish AJ's sentence, ... except Seattle. They don't care. They have the legendary starting staff, and their owner is not nice. Kratz hats, thank your Phils here. We did well today. We did good work.
Thank New Era and thank the Phils. It's classic. I mean, it's one of those things, that we made fun of the W for Washington. This is classic. Just like Charlie Manuel said, let me hear the bell. They ring the bell after every win and every homer.
Hey, Charlie's here. He's here, Kratz. I talked to him.
Chuck's always there.
I told him, he said hello. He didn't remember who you were. So I said, well, you know that one guy hit you a homer once in a spring training game?
Yeah. I liked him. I liked that.
You know what
guy.
he was doing? Remember we had Matt Strahm on, and he said that Charlie Manuel was a huge card collector. You know what he was doing? He was sitting in the batting cage right here with, imagine this, Jimmy and Ryan Howard, two former MVPs, ripping packs, by the way. Ripping packs
Really?
right here. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Had a whole slew of them was just sitting there ripping packs.
Chuck loves like different stuff like that. He loves putting his money into things that he can put in his hands. He's like, I buy gold, I buy baseball cards.
Old school. Yeah, the Phils have baseball lifers. That's Manuel. That's definitely Larry Boa, who I got to work with quite a bit back in the day. All right, lastly, for the FT fam, the calendar, please. Thanks to all the teams so far this week. Today is Thursday. AJ's a grinder this week, so you'll see him on Friday as well. Blue Jays, Nationals, Astros, Phillies. Thank you, Phillies. Rays tomorrow. We'll talk to the Rays. And then next week we're in Arizona. Mystery teams are involved. No? Well, at least some of them are. AJ, we know a few of them.
I know Monday is Dodgers. I know that for sure. And I'm pretty sure Thursday is White Sox. I'm pretty sure about that also. Now the other days
it was back to back. Couldn't get you a cot or a
Right.
5-star suite on the Dodgers side or a cot on the White Sox side.
Yeah, they have like a Four Seasons, a Capella on the Dodgers side, and on the other side they have like a Days Inn or a Motel 6 on the White Sox side where you have to stay. Yeah, you get to choose.
I picture it's like Legends Club if you go to a Yankees game and they've got like, unlimited lobster and steak and all this stuff. And then you go to Sox camp and they're like, PB&J or pizza for you today.
Not that bad. It's not that bad, but it's pretty funny.
Bulk eggs. Minor league eggs.
By the way, shout out to our crew here because I look fabulous.
Yeah,
you do look
always
fabulous.
Hey, we're back. All right, Kratz, I forgot you got booted. What are you, tired? You need a break. You need an off day, Kratz.
I was yawning. I'm going to take an off day. I feel like AJ right now.
What's that? You don't have to work on Friday?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rays. Did you play for the Rays for like a second?
I did.
No.
Number 6 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts.
I'll tell Kevin Cash you said hi.
The thing with the Rays is they're probably the highest turnover team over the past at least decade, right? It's just what they do. There's been a little less of that. Not really, actually. They sold at the deadline and got rid of everyone again. So they are the turnover team. They also are a top 5 team in the past couple decades, I think, on win percentage, something around that range. So give them credit for the success, although they haven't won a World Series. But with all that being said, AJ, there's not many names that you can throw out to current players and be like, oh, remember so-and-so? Like nobody's good at history lessons there because you don't get the connectivity from one player being there for a long time and passing the torch to another. I guess you had that with Longo, but it's a team that doesn't have a lot of that overall. Kiermaier?
It was supposed to be Franco.
Too soon.
It was.
Now it's Caminero. Now it's going to be Caminero.
Mm-hmm.
And it was David Priso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Blake Snell, Chris Archer, some of those guys. But none of them were there 10 years.
Yandy. I mean, Yandy's been there for a while now. Yandy Diaz.
Maybe 4 years.
But no long-term extension that you're like, I'll just wait till his jersey gets sold in Ross on the discount shelf, and I'll get it after they trade him.
All right, so coming up next, Dodgers territory. You've got Alana and Clint. And yes, Dodgers fans will be at that camp on Monday, like AJ mentioned. He's visiting his old stomping grounds on Thursday to talk to the White Sox. And there will be other teams we visit on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday to be announced later. We will see you mañana at Rays camp.